Hey everybody, this is Taran's Free Jazz Hour, and we are in a cemetery. The most amazing, overgrown, creepy, cinematic cemetery I've ever been to in my life. It's the Abney Park Cemetery in North London, and this is where we meet the goddess of the saxophone. The amazing Rachel Musson.
I don't tend to say that I play jazz, but obviously I've been massively influenced by jazz. You can hear it in my language,
Right.
but I wouldn't call myself a jazz musician
No.
as such.
Okay. Did you start by playing jazz, like when you were becoming a musician?
I mean, I started playing classical flute,
All right.
and then I found jazz at the age of about 14 or 15, and then got very into that into my early 20s. So yeah, I mean, it's really informed my playing, and then I think kind of in my early 30s I just sort of decided to step back from it
Yes.
and concentrate on improvised music. But obviously when people are improvising, they're bringing their previous languages with them when they improvise.
All right. Fantastic. I was talking to Colin Webster, and he said that one of the things that he loves about your playing is that you can play like those rough sounds and be very raw, but you can play very, very low. Colin said that he couldn't play low. He was a loud player, but you, in comparison to him, you're like, you can play very soft, but keeping that edge, and you can go loud.
I've heard Colin play quietly.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I'm sure I've heard Colin play quietly.
All right.
But that's very nice of him to say that.
Yes. And also, I do hear some melodic influences in your playing. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, who are your influences?
Oh,
If you do have any influences.
I don't know. I mean, I was talking about this with someone else the other day. Like, my biggest influences, I think, were like Lee Konitz and Dexter Gordon,
Oh, amazing.
which you don't really hear now in my playing. I mean, I've listened to other people now, like Mats Gustafsson, Peter Brotsman, Dewey Redman has been a huge influence actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, all sorts of people. Coltrane was for a while. So I mean, the jazz is definitely in there.
Okay. So, Rachel, what do you call your music now? The music that you play now. What is it?
I improvise. I suppose that I just shy away from labelling anything, because as soon as you put a label on something, it kind of restricts it and it doesn't breathe. I mean, who is it? Is it somebody, Christopher Smalley or someone who said musicking rather than music? You know, it's like
Oh.
the process of being in something rather than calling it something and that's it. So I say I'm an improviser.
Right. Okay.
Just
Are you a free improviser?
I guess so. I try to be free.
All right. And so I'm just wondering why do you play this music? What is the pull toward this music? Because I know that I love it, and musicians who play this music love it, but there's a very, very small audience for this type of music, isn't it? And so what is the pull toward this music?
It's a very fine audience. It might be a small audience, but it's a very fine and loyal and an audience that really listens.
Mm.
And I think the pull is the musicians are amazing. and there's space in it to be who you want to be. So there are people playing this music who will come with assorted objects from their home and play those, or there are people who come from like a virtuosic classical background, or people from jazz, and there's the space for everyone to have their voice within that, and I think that's really amazing.
All right. So Rachel, have you always played the tenor saxophone?
No.
Oh, you said you started with flute.
Started on flute,
Yeah.
and then I started on alto,
Alto, okay.
and then I picked up tenor when I was about 19 or something.
Right, and then you've stuck with the tenor. So what is it about the tenor that made you stick with it?
I love the range of the tenor saxophone. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a little bit lower than my kind of speaking and sing voice, and I sometimes wonder if I should be playing alto, but I just love the fact that you can go really low and then you can kind of got the altissimo, and yeah.
All right.
Really love it.
I absolutely love your sound. I mean, I am not really, I'm not good at talking about music and the sound and the tone, because I really don't understand all that. But I know that I absolutely, when I hear it, I love the sound of your tenor saxophone. Is your sound and tone, where does that come from? I mean, I don't know how musicians do this. I mean, do you have any particular influences or practices that make you sound like that, or do you just sound like that?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think it's
Okay.
to do with physics, so the shape of your mouth, torso, the instrument, the shape of the mouthpiece, practical things. And I think it's to do with the sound that you have in your head, and then how you kind of map the physical stuff onto this sort of a sense of what you want to sound like.
All right. So you do actually have an idea of what you want to sound like, and then you try to produce that sound.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
okay? Oh, that's good. Oh, so if I played the tenor saxophone, will I be able to play like you?
Well, I mean, I suppose that's something that I've done a lot of as well, is listening to, my favourite at the time saxophone player, like literally just 4 bars and playing over and over and over again with them until you can kind of match your sound onto them. So that would be a way of trying to kind of develop your tone.
And tell us about your new projects that you're doing. New, existing, and current projects and new projects.
Does that include solo playing at home due to
course.
COVID?
Definitely, yeah.
New projects. I've got a couple of albums coming out.
Okay, great.
I recently put something out on the Lockdown Cafe Otto label with Corey Mwamba, which we recorded over Zoom.
Okay.
I don't know if you know, but Corey and I had a duo for quite a while.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And it seemed like an ideal chance to kind of resurrect that.
Right.
Playing online with 2 people, I think, is probably a bit easier than playing with 4.
Yeah.
I've got a.
So, are you saying you've recorded an album over Zoom?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it was quite interesting in that it sounded like we were in the same room at the end. I felt it felt like being back together again. It was a really nice feeling, kind of listening back to that.
Great.
There's a couple of albums coming out on 577 Records, which is a New York, Brooklyn-based.
Federico.
Yeah, Federico
Ugis,
Uggi, yeah.
Yeah.
So he might have even sent you copies. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. No, not yet. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a vinyl pressing of Schiefer, which is a band with Pat Thomas on piano, Mark Sanders on drums, and it's a recording from Oslo from 2018, I think. Was it? No, 2019. So it's really recent. We played at the Blowout Festival in Oslo, and it's a live recording from that. So that's really nice to have.
Oh, amazing! It's going to be on vinyl.
Yeah.
Oh, that will be amazing. So it's a trio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We had one out before. This is like the next one.
All right.
And also a Nanette recording. So it's a 9-piece band that I was commissioned to write for by Tony Dudley Evans. And we played last year at Cheltenham Jazz Festival and Cafe Otto. So this is the recording from the Cafe Otto gig.
Right. Yeah, I was at that gig.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the one with text.
Yes.
So spoken word,
Yeah.
Debbie Sanders, Mark's sister, is speaking, and then there's 8 musicians improvising with it. And so that's really nice to have that out. Such a large band, it's actually, feels like quite an opportunity to be able to put something of that scale out.
Yeah.
So that's coming out on the 23rd of October.
Okay, cool. Okay. I was there at the gig at Cafe Otto, and it was an amazing gig, and I was very intrigued by all the band, and that you composed the music for the band. And so what is this project? I Went This Way, it's called, right? I Went This Way. All right.
Here's a CD.
Oh, fantastic. I Went This Way. Yeah.
I kind of wrote a text. The text was about the process of improvising, about developing, about how a musician develops their voice, about self-expression within a kind of what can feel like quite a kind of strict canon. And so, I don't know, I think a lot of the time with conservatoires and education, there can feel like there are rules and there's box ticking, and there's just trying to kind of get rid of all of that and find your own way to express yourself.
Right. Wow. So it's like is it like a story?
It's not really. I suppose it's sort of a story. It's not really like once upon a time there was, but it's more a kind of exploration of what I was saying about how you go about carving space for your own voice within this kind of busy world of genre and styles and jazz influences and all that kind of thing.
Right. Very interesting. Do you think this could be something that could inspire up-and-coming musicians?
I don't know. I guess I'll wait and see.
Okay.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah. All right. I would like you to say something to inspire musicians.
I think I'd make it more general than that, actually.
Okay.
Maybe to inspire anybody who feels they want to be more creative.
Great.
And just to anyone, why not? Why not pick up an instrument and explore it? I mean, I've worked with adults who are beginners quite a lot, and I just think it's such a rich addition to someone's life. And it's actually quite a radical thing these days to be doing a creative activity.
Yes.
Just for the sake of doing a creative activity.
Totally, yeah.
And I think the world would be a better place if more people did it.
If more people were creative.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Just
definitely.
for the sake of doing it, exploring your own self through the act of creative practice.
Yes.
I think it's a really important thing. It brings people together, it connects people. It takes people out of this kind of endless work consuming kind of cycle that's killing the planet, basically.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Rachel, that's a beautiful looking instrument, like old, and all the lacquer has worn off. It looks like it's had a long life. Okay, tell us about it. What is it?
Well, it was born in 1937.
1937. Mm-hmm.
It's a Con 10M. It's quite new to me. I've had it a couple of years or so. I bought it from a guy called Jim in New York.
Whoa.
Jim Magera. I've promised that I'll send him the first record I do on it. But I was over there, and we had some email contact before I went, and I just went and tried it, and it was the one. So.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah.
And you can...